In the year of the Earth 3473, Orion's arm glittered with humanity's reach, multiple colonies stitched by quantum relays and fusion arcs. Jonah Cade, a gaunt freelance navigator, lived for the hustle, dodging entanglements with a scrapper's grit. His ship, the Albatross, sat impounded on a dusty moon over unpaid fees, leaving him stranded at a grimy spaceport called Joppa, sitting in a cantina, scowling into a glass of stale synth liquor. A voice pierced the haze, deep, resonant, bypassing his comms entirely.
Jonah, go to Nineveh Prime. Warn them, their greed unravels my universe, but they can change.
Jonah's gut twisted. Nineveh Prime was a gaudy trade jewel, its elite stripping neutron stars with outlawed tech, fracturing space-time for profit. What they could not take through economic terrorism, they would extract through the violence of war. They had descended from an ancient race called the Assyrians. Time had only honed their treachery. He despised them, arrogant, ruthless cheats who'd stiffed him on a haul years back, leaving him to die in a crippled ship.
Help those vipers? Not a chance.
He spat, chalking it up to a stress glitch. Suddenly the voice rings out, more forceful now.
Go to Nineveh Prime. They must turn from their ways.
Jonah loathed the idea. Ninevites were a plague, hoarding wealth while colonies starved. He'd rather watch them burn than lift a finger. Instead, he hatched a plan to run, scanning the docks for a ride. The Black Fang, a pirate frigate bristling with stolen pulse cannons, caught his eye. Its crew, inked-up raiders, were prepping for departure. According to the dock manifest, they were bound for Tarshish, a rim world far from Nineveh Prime.
Perfect, Jonah thought, as far away as I can get.
He sauntered up to their quartermaster, Gav, a hulking thug with a scarred sneer.
Heading to Tarshish, huh? I know those lanes like the back of my hand. Ran cargo there for years.
Why should I trust you?
Because I've dodged patrols and slipped through blockades more times than you've had a hot meal. Plus, I need a ride out of here. Win-win.
Gav grunted, considering. Gav was secretly worried about the upcoming voyage. He was not familiar with these routes and knew the rumors of their difficulty. Gav grunted again.
Fine. But if you're lying, you're space dust.
Jonah nodded, relief washing over him. Tarshish it is, he thought, far from Nineveh Prime and that damn voice. Jonah had barely settled into a narrow bunk in the lower decks of the Black Fang when exhaustion claimed him. Outside, the void turned hostile. The stars visible through the ship's viewport began to shimmer and distort, their light bending unnaturally.
Gav growls, "What is happening? Get the engines under control."
Without warning, a violent shudder ripped through the Black Fang, throwing the crew off balance. Alarms screeched as tachyons and gravitic anomalies slammed into the hull, a freak storm of cosmic forces materializing from nowhere. Then, piercing the chaos, a voice thundered over the comms, deep, resonant, inescapable. All it said was,
Nineveh Prime!
The words hung in the air, chilling the pirates to their core. Faces drained of color, they exchanged wide-eyed glances. One of the crew, a wiry man with a tangle of tattoos, fumbled in his pocket and pulled out a handful of jagged stones, each marked with hieroglyphics from some forgotten asteroid cult. "It's a sign!" he rasped, his voice trembling. "Something's marked us! Someone's brought this down!" The others nodded, their fear sharpening into action. They crouched in a tight circle on the tilting deck, casting the stones in a frantic ritual, muttering half-remembered prayers to the void. The runes clattered and settled, and every eye fixed on the pattern, a crooked arrow pointing toward the lower decks, straight toward Jonah's bunk. Gav, ignoring the protests of the crew, stormed off, his heavy boots pounding against the grates as he descended to the bunks.
Oi! Wake up, you fool.
What's going on?
The storm, you idiot! It's tearing us apart, and that voice... What was that? What have you brought down on us?
Realization settled over Jonah like a cold weight. He straightened, meeting Gav's gaze with weary resignation.
It's me. The storm's because of me.
What kind of power's after you? Is it a god? Some ancient AI? What are we dealing with?
I don't know what it is. Something big. Something that won't let me go.
But deep inside, Jonah did know what it was. It was his God. The true God over all things, all time. The I Am. The one known to Jonah as Yahweh. There will be no escape.
You want it to stop? Throw me out. It's the only way you'll survive.
The pirates debated what they should do next.
Kill him. But if his god's this strong, we don't want that thing turning on us next. You felt that storm. It's not natural.
We're not killers. Not unless we've got no choice. But if we keep him aboard, we're all dead. You're sure? Out there's your only fix?
Jonah relents.
Yeah, do it. Save your ship, save yourselves.
Lord, do not let us die for this man's sake.
The crew grabbed Jonah and prepared to stuff him into an escape pod. Sorry, mate. Ain't personal. Just the way it's gotta be. This is your god's doing, not ours. The hatch slammed shut, and Gav punched the launch controls. The pod jettisoned into the void with a hollow thud, swallowed instantly by the swirling chaos outside. Almost at once, the storm began to relent. The tachyons faded, the gravitic distortions eased, and the alarms fell silent. The crew stood still, breathing hard, a fragile relief settling over them. Yet beneath it lingered an unspoken unease, a shadow of fear for the power they'd just defied. Jonah readied himself for the cold embrace of space, but instead a massive shadow loomed over his pod. A Leviathan-class bioship, organic, ancient, alive. It opened its maw and engulfed him whole. Darkness swallowed him, and he felt the pod being drawn deeper into the creature's guts, glowing with an eerie bioluminescence. The air thickened with the pungent scent of organic matter, and the distant hum of the creature's biological processes surrounded him. For 3 days, Jonah drifted in this surreal prison, sustained by biovents that filtered oxygen and nutrients through the pod's cracked hull. During that time, the voice returned.
You cannot flee. They must change.
At first, Jonah raged silently, against the voice, against the Ninevites, against the injustice of it all.
Why save them? They'd sooner spit on me than listen.
But as the hours stretched into days, the isolation wore him down. The Leviathan's belly was a place of eerie stillness, a womb of shadow and faint pulsing light. On the second day, Jonah slumped against the pod's wall, his breath shallow. The dim glow illuminated his gaunt face, etched with exhaustion. He stared at his hands, scarred from years of scrapping and surviving, and for the first time, he wondered if he'd been running from more than just the voice.
Why me? Why choose someone like me who can't even stand the thought of helping those Ninevites? They're monsters. They've hurt so many, taken so much. How can I forgive them?
Because you are capable of change, Jonah, just as they are. Forgiveness is not for them, Jonah. It's for you, to free yourself from the chains of hatred.
Tears welled in Jonah's eyes as he grappled with the weight of those words. He thought of his own mistakes, his greed, his lies, the times he'd cheated to survive.
I'm sorry. I was wrong to run. I'll do what you ask. I'll warn them.
A sense of calm washed over him, and for the first time in days, he felt a glimmer of hope. The bioship, as if sensing his resolve, shuddered softly, its rhythm changing.
Guide me. I'll do what must be done.
On the third day, the Leviathan surfaced near Nineveh Prime, its massive form casting a shadow over the trade lanes. With a gentle heave, it expelled Jonah's pod, sending him drifting toward the planet. Stranded but resolute, Jonah hacked a passing drone signal with a smuggler's trick, hijacking its comms.
Your mining is shredding reality. Stop or it's over. 40 cycles from now, Nineveh Prime collapses into the void. You will all die.
He hated every syllable, picturing their smug faces, their gilded towers built on the backs of broken worlds. The Ninevites jeered, until their sensors screamed space-time breaches, jagged tears in the fabric of existence flickering on every screen. Resigned to the voice's will, Jonah made way to Nineveh, the capital city of Nineveh Prime. The trade jewel sprawled before him, an immense gleaming symphony of commerce and vice. To cross it on foot would take 3 days, a labyrinth of skyways and grav lifts pulsing with the hum of a million lives. Jonah trudged into its heart, his boots heavy on the polished walkways, his voice rough as he broadcast through every hacked relay he could reach.
40 cycles and your greed drags you all under. Change or it's done.
He'd gone a day's journey, weaving through bustling markets and towering spires, when something shifted. The Ninevites, hardened traders, smug elites, desperate dockhands, began to listen. The voice that had hounded Jonah now stirred in them, a quiet resonance beneath their cynicism and greed. Whispers spread through the crowds, carried on data streams and muttered prayers. The breaches were real, the warning true. Fear took root, and with it, a fragile belief. Not in Jonah, but in the force behind him, vast and unyielding. They didn't yet change their ways, but the seed was planted, trembling in the shadow of what might come. At the capital, King Archon of Nineveh Prime sat enshrined in his control spire, data streams flickering across his gaunt face. His fingers tightened as the sensors confirmed the warning. Space-time was fracturing, their wealth unraveling reality itself. He'd initially dismissed the broadcast as sabotage, but now the truth glared undeniable.
People of Nineveh Prime, we have erred gravely. Our pursuit of wealth has endangered not just our world but the very cosmos. Effective immediately, all mining operations are to cease. Every rig, every extractor, shut them down. I am diverting all royal resources to stabilize the space-time rifts. Let it be known that I will forego the luxuries powered by our excesses. I shall not even eat until this is rectified. I ask that you do the same. We shall do as the ancients did, fast, and pray that God has mercy to forgive us.
With a flourish, he deactivated the shimmering energy field around his palace, a symbol of the planet's indulgence. The Ninevites, accustomed to their king's authority, felt dread sink in. The hum of extractors fell silent as rigs powered down across the planet. Engineers and scientists, under the king's orders, redirected energy into makeshift stabilizers. Within days, the space-time breaches began to close, the rifts mending. Jonah, watching from a fringe outpost via news feeds, saw the rigs go dark, the fractures sealing. He scowled bitter. They'd listened, but he'd never forgive them. Jonah slumped in the dim light of the fringe outpost, the hum of distant engines his only company. He stared at the cracked screen of his wristcom, its flickering display a reminder of better days. It had been his lifeline, tracking cargo, plotting routes, even storing a few hollow snaps of times he'd rather not forget. Now it was little more than scrap, damaged during his escape from Nineveh Prime.
All that trouble, and for what? To save those greedy scum?
Jonah, do you do well to be angry for that device?
It's not just a device, it's my work, my life. Everything I had left after they betrayed me and left me for dead. It kept me connected when I had nothing else.
You mourn a tool you did not forge, nor code, which served you briefly and now fails. It came into your possession fleetingly and now lies broken. Yet you scorn the lives of Nineveh Prime, countless souls who, like you, are flawed, but capable of change.
Capable? They're vultures. They'd strip the stars bare if it lined their pockets. Why should I care about them?
And yet, you pity your broken comm? A thing of metal and light, while I pity Nineveh Prime, a world of billions, stumbling in ignorance, grasping for meaning in the void.
Jonah's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, to shout that they didn't deserve compassion, that their sins were too great. But the voice's words hung heavy, like the weight of the stars outside. He thought of Nineveh Prime, of the sprawling cities, the countless faces he'd seen on the news feeds, the lives he'd dismissed as unworthy. For the first time, he wondered if compassion was a burden too vast for one man to carry, or if it was a choice he'd refused to make. The hollow freedom he'd felt earlier curdled in his chest, replaced by a quiet, uneasy realization. The voice faded, leaving him alone with the silence and the stars, their light both accusing and forgiving. If you enjoyed this fictional telling of the story of Jonah, I strongly encourage you to read the real story of Jonah in the Bible. This fictional tale was created to inspire you toward God and His actual word in the Holy Bible. Once you have read the book of Jonah, if you are interested to read more, I recommend reading the book of John in the New Testament. John was a direct companion and disciple of Jesus. His book will explain who God is, who Jesus is, how much God loves you, and what God wants you to do in response to that knowledge. May God bless.